All right, here we go. Hi, thank you for tuning in to East Coast AVP. We've got a little preview for the Wilmington tournament coming up. It's going to be tomorrow down in the Wilmington area. We got 16 teams. My name's Graham Wren. And then here with us on the phone, we have Kevin Knight.
What's up? I'm about halfway through a batch of cookies. It's batch 111. Super excited about these. Definitely will be bringing these out to Wilmington. Should be a ton of fun. Unfortunately, I've got a storm going on above me, so it's not going to be possible for me to be Skyped in. But dealing with a little adversity, we'll get through it.
Nice. That's good to hear. I think a little bit of adversity is always kind of good for the mind and soul. So glad to see that you're powering through there.
I mean, I consider myself fortunate to have gotten to see your sweet setup and looking nice as always.
Oh well,
so,
thank you. I do appreciate that.
I think you're gonna do just fine tonight with me on the audio and you on the visual.
Yeah. So real quick to kind of set the scene here. I am dog sitting for Sean Regglesworth, and this is Sean's home office. This is where the magic happens. We've got an American flag in the back. We've got a lot of beautiful photographs. We've got a tatted up Abraham Lincoln on the wall. Got an army tank. Got some World War II planes. You might call it the war room. What do you think? What do you think about that, Kevin?
Yeah, that's an apt description. The night before one of the biggest tournaments of the year.
Yeah.
And by big, I mean 16 teams in the Mid-Atlantic East region.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, it probably would have been a little bit bigger than 16 teams, except we, limited court space and teams got capped, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. But men's open still looking strong.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I mentioned that this is Sean's work from home destination, but between you and me, I think this is also really where he digs in it and kind of does his deep dives on the game of volleyball. I came into the room, hadn't planned any of this, and just kind of sitting there on the desk after we'd been talking about trying to disguise defensive looks to opposing teams. Camouflage of War, just sitting there right on the desk. This book here,
You're really going all in on the war room thoughts. But yeah, you know what? Go with it. Just ride.
I mean, some people might think we're being a little melodramatic, but at the same time, when you step on that court, you're going to war. So, I think it's refreshing that my partner takes things that seriously.
There's a bunch of hashtags after that, but we won't get into it now.
Yeah, hashtag Prime is coming. All right, so we've got.
So what's the bracket look like?
Okay, so we've got 16 teams. I'll name the teams as we get to each matchup. I figure we'll just kind of dive right in and see what happens. First matchup is Angel Dache and Caleb Jenis against Michael and Travis. Kev, you think there's any chance that the 16 seed takes it over the 1 seed here?
I think this is a classic 16 versus 1 matchup. I know Travis. He's trying hard to start to make a name for himself on the beach scene. I think he's a coach, maybe an assistant coach at VCU or something like that. But this isn't time yet to get through a team like Angel and Caleb.
So this isn't Travis Griner then. This is a different Travis.
No. This is Travis Abele, Abele. He's a Richmond guy.
Richmond guy. Okay.
Yeah, played pickup with him a couple times. He's not bad. He's learned the game and he's kind of he's figuring out and I'm happy to see him out there. But yeah, I think Angel and Caleb will take this one in 2 pretty convincingly. What's the next one look like?
The next one's kind of a juicy one in my mind. We have Austin Banks and Cortland Scherenberg against Josh Lanier and Spencer Gaston.
Ooh, anytime Spencer's involved, it can definitely be a juicy one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Definitely somebody who's kind of known for his fire. You know, true competitor. So I think, and you know, especially first match of the day, I think it's really a matchup where anything could happen. You know,
with Banks, anything could happen. I mean,
it's true.
We're talking anything like serving backwards or bombing 6 straight aces in a row with his left hand. It's all possible with Austin Banks.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Definitely as far as kind of the Atlantic region goes, he's definitely considered probably the wild card in the area. I think last year at ECS he had a couple different match points. He and Spencer Gaston actually had a couple match points against Brandon Joyner and Cam Beans, right?
Yeah. I think that was ECS. Or maybe the AVP Gold Series, I don't know.
Yeah, either way, you know, just kind of playing out of his mind, you know, for a match, and you know, just anything could happen here. I guess I'll go ahead and take this one, Kev.
Yeah.
I
could go 3.
You think it goes 3?
I think could go 3, but I think we move on.
Yeah, it could go 3, but I think I'm going to take Austin Banks and Cortland. I think
it's fairly straightforward for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh's ball control and setting can be, you know, especially if not warmed up, can be a bit suspect at times.
I think, it comes down more to confidence than anything else, and I think Spencer's full of confidence, but both Austin and Cortland are also both full of confidence, and I think that kind of is going to prove to be too much this time around.
Yeah, I think you're right there. So we'll go ahead and pick Austin and Cortland. And drop Josh and Spencer down to the losers bracket.
Yeah, brief interlude. The edge on this cookie is proven to be extremely crispy. We're really gonna see how these go over at Wilmington. It's gonna be pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next match we've got Will Rodriguez and Matt Helmick against Adam Hyatt and John Lucas. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
You know, John Lucas, I think, is a new coach for a subsidiary of the St. John Beach Juniors Club. He definitely knows a lot about the game. He's coached it for a while.
Are they allowed to play in Wilmington?
I think he again is one of those guys that he's around it a lot. He knows a lot about it, but hasn't quite figured out how to execute on it quite yet. That said, Matt, I don't think has been training much at all. Hard to find ball in Fayetteville, and even harder when COVID's going around.
Yeah.
So if they could exploit Matt, then maybe. But I think Will and Matt are gonna kind of roll this one in two.
Yeah, I think you're right on there. Again, I think relatively pretty straightforward, and it would take, I think, you know, just from a pure size perspective, it's a pretty steep uphill battle for Adam and John. Matt Helmick probably being the shorter of the two at 6'4", right?
No, Matt Helmick is easily 6'6" because he and Brian Dirks were once known as Team 13 Feet. So if you add their heights together, they're about 13 feet and 1 inches.
That's true.
Brian Dirks being 6'7" and Matt being 6'6".
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, so I mean,
Will's 6'4" and a half.
Yeah, Will's 6'4", 6'4" and a half, in a leaper. So they're it's going to be a tough team to deal with for Adam and John.
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and drop Adam and John down. All right, next matchup we have the 4 seed Bryce Ernsberger and Nick Drucker against Colton and G. There's unfortunately I'm doing the best with what I've been dealt here. Larry's bracket just has.
Yeah, I know who it is. That's one of Angel's buddies, I think, from Mount Olive. Yeah, they're local Wilmington guys. I don't know how seriously they train or how often. I think they call him Guy. I like Guy a lot, but I don't see them being a serious contender here against Bryce.
No, I don't either. I played against Colton briefly back in January in indoor sand, and at the time, you know, he and it was a different partner, but he and his partner were kind of at that kind of making the transition from Double A to Open type level, and kind of making those skill progressions. So against frankly a team that's a pretty big threat to win this entire tournament, I don't think it's gonna. I think it's a pretty straightforward matchup.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They're probably better looking though. Bryce definitely bringing the team down on that one. All right, for the next matchup, we have Brian Dirks, the other half of Team 13 Feet, against Brian Dirks and Bodie Eanes against Larry Safelsky and David Fisher. I'm not entirely convinced that this is a straightforward matchup. I don't really know David Fisher, but Dirks and Larry are both similarly sized. Bodie's on the younger side and athletic, full of energy, but maybe a little bit less experienced. What can you tell me about David Fisher?
So David Fisher is actually the coach at UNCW. So in terms of game knowledge, he might be the top guy at the tournament. D-Fish actually once upon a time apparently made an AVP then. Somebody told me that. So secondhand knowledge, not entirely sure if that's true, but I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know how often he trains. He's definitely either in his late 40s or early 50s. So it's one of these classic youth versus experience matches because I think Brian Dirks and Larry are about the same age. So it's kind of Bodie versus D-Fish, and I think you kind of can coin toss this one, but if I were a betting man, I'd give this one to young Bodie because I just really don't know how much David Fisher's been out playing, and I also don't know what his physical status is like. I don't know if he's got any injuries or if he's been playing much or what's going on. So, and I know Bodie's been out there kind of grinding away out in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and Dirks is from Myrtle Beach as well, so I think they've been getting out and playing together a little bit. So there's a decent bit of chemistry there, and kind of like you said, it comes down to Bodie against David, right? But if you look at the other half of that matchup, I would give the edge to Dirks over Larry. So I feel like David doesn't just have to, beat out Bodie. He has, he's got a little bit of a deficit that he's got to overcome there.
We might be completely wrong on this one because there might be some Wilmington people out there that are just what are you thinking? Never bet against this guy. But it's kind of a going with the guy that we know rather than the guy that we don't.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so that drops Larry and David down. Okay, and for our next matchup, we have Eddie Mukashin and Ian Bicko against Mitch and Keegan. Is that Mitch McDowell and Keegan Turner, I want to say?
Yeah, actually, I don't know either of these. Obviously, I'm just going to go by seeding and knowing that Eddie and Ian are probably just better players than these guys.
Fair enough.
Eddie and Ian are a new team. Eddie's living in Atlanta, Georgia, and Ian, I believe, in Mobile, Alabama, teaming up. They've played against each other a good amount. I don't know if they've ever played with each other in a tournament, but I think it should be a fairly straightforward first round for them.
All right, now we come to, in my opinion, the most interesting matchup of the first round. At the 7 versus the 10 matchup, we have Misha and JP against Mark Fornicari and Nolan Albrecht. Wow, you want to talk about kind of a bad draw for both of them, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a number of other seeds that are packed right around those guys that either one of those teams would have loved to have played against. They just happen to get matched up against each other.
Right. No, I think you're absolutely right there. I would. Part of me thinks, with Matt Helmick not getting to play much, part of me thinks that from the 5 seed and lower, those are probably the top two teams. So definitely a rough matchup. But I don't know. What are you thinking here? We'll definitely dive a little bit deeper on this one.
So interestingly enough, Mark and Nolan usually actually split block. So it's kind of a split block jump serving team versus a classic big little float serving team. Big little team being Misha, who only picked up a ball in the last year or so. But has developed a skill set extremely quickly for, relative to what I've seen out of other guys.
Yeah.
Misha's obviously known for his overline. In fact, he'll use it even if the defender is there. Just hit it with ever so slightly more pace. Versus Mark and Nolan are both extremely difficult to stop inside out when they're in the system, and they're both quite good passers. But they don't. Nolan prefers to defend, and Mark is probably only about 6'1", 6'2". Not a huge block. Sneaky good at putting his hands in the right spot if somebody's trying to Yahtzee on him. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to, are Mark and Nolan going to get a ton of aces and really mess with Misha and JP from the service line, or is Big Misha going to start putting the clamp down and JP going to be sliding all over the place as a defender?
Yeah, see, that's the interesting thing for me. When you talk about Mark Fornicari's offense, and kind of Misha's strength is, taking away a chunk of the court, and if you decide to hit a ball into an area he's supposed to be covering, it generally comes back on your side. But, Mark's not really a guy who's known for trying to beat balls around somebody. Definitely known for kind of his pokey back over the line.
Yep.
Just kind of hitting a variety of shots that, kind of taking the blocker a little bit out of the game and forcing the defender to pick him up.
You just can't discount the fact that Mark has probably won more Wilmington tournaments than the other team has played combined.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. I kind of have, first match of the day, I kind of have to pick Mark and Nolan here. I think
I'll go with it, even though JP and Misha are my training buddies. It's your bracket, your pick, and honestly, this one for me is, I mean, you could tell me that Mark and Nolan went in two, and I'd be like, oh yeah, they probably started them off the court. And you could tell me that JP and Misha went in two, and I'd be like, oh yeah, Mark and Nolan probably showed up tired, and JP ate up all of Mark's shots, and Misha was Misha. So, what? I'm not gonna blame you too much for whatever you end up choosing.
Yeah, I mean, part of me feels like I think style wise, Mark and Nolan are a pretty good counter for Misha and JP. Kind of my take.
Yeah, I was actually gonna go with the opposite. That's what's so funny is that I think JP can give Mark fits with how JP likes to hide behind the block and then pop out one way or another. And I think if they're going to go after Nolan, and Nolan likes to swing a lot, I think Misha likes to put a big clamp on it. So I really think they're kind of just equally matched. It's going to be a really fun first round match to watch.
You think we'll film that one, Kev?
Quite possibly. That might be the first one of the day that I collect film on.
All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pick Mark and Nolan, and then we'll drop JP and Misha down to the losers bracket. Now the last match we got to go over: Kevin Knight, David Arnold against Nick and Parker. I kind of look at this matchup and I can't help but wondering if this might be a time for a pretty catastrophic upset. What do you think, Kevin?
I think you can fuck right off. I guess we can bleep that if we need to. But I actually know Parker. I've played against him. He's a young kid out of Greensboro. Very much raw. Probably gonna make 4 to 5 kind of various errors throughout the match, whether it's ball control or hitting errors. Good kid, still learning it, but I don't think we'll have too much of a headache.
Yeah, neither do I. I just wanted to hear your reaction. So we'll go ahead and do another round of winners because that's how you're supposed to run tournaments.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that would run it where they do a round of winners and then a round of losers, because that would end up causing the winners to have to rest, and that doesn't make any sense at all. But
yeah, and it screws up with kind of the rest time and game schedule of people who won their initial matches and should be the higher seeds and should have more favorable schedules than people who lost first, but just kind of screws them,
let's not digress on that too far.
Yeah, let's not. So we've got Angel and Caleb against Austin Banks and Cortland. What do you think here?
Oh man, I think it would take one of those. It would really take one of those like really crazy wind matches, and even then, I doubt it would work. But if there was like a crazy amount of like gusting wind and Austin was really hitting his floater from like 20 feet behind the court like he likes to do, I could see him really giving Caleb fits passing because Caleb's still pretty raw on the beach. Really unbelievable indoor outside hitter. He'll probably go overseas and play for a year or two. 6'6" with an 8'8" standing reach. A very long-limbed individual. And if he really has any weakness, it would just be he can occasionally get inconsistent hitting, and occasionally get inconsistent passing. And wind only exacerbates that. But outside of a heavy wind match, I see Caleb and Angel taking this one too. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I thought. I will say, if Austin Banks goes full on Austin Banks, which he always does, but if it's a good full on Austin Banks, I think I don't think it even necessarily needs to be a crazy win match for this to turn into a much closer game than it looks like on paper, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean this kid's the drunk friend at the party that sinks like 9 beer pong cups in a row and nobody knows where it came from, and he doesn't do it again for a couple months, but he talks about it until then.
Yeah, I've actually got
the volleyball equivalent is essentially what he does. He shows up occasionally to a tournament and then just rips through some really, really good team out of nowhere. And you don't really know why, you don't really know how, but you just kind of laugh and clap your hands as long as it's not you on the other side of it.
Yeah. If anyone knows Austin Bryant out of Virginia Beach, Austin Bryant.
I'm sure the Cali guy as well.
What was that?
I said I'm sure the California guy as well.
Yeah.
They all listen to this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Austin Bryant has like one of my favorite Austin Banks stories, which was kind of the first time they met. They bonded really fast over the fact that they're both named Austin, and Austin Banks was very drunk and like enthusiastically, loudly talking to Austin Bryant like nose to nose for a solid like 10 minutes. And like Austin Bryant does a really good job telling the story. So if you're ever in Virginia Beach and running into Austin, ask him to tell you that story. It's very amusing.
What's next?
So we've got Angel and Caleb in 2 there, which drops Austin and Cortland down. Okay. Next we have a pretty interesting match here. We've got Will Rodriguez, Matt Helmick against Bryce Ernsberger and Nick Drucker.
So as interesting as this looks on paper, I actually don't think it's all that interesting from a matchup perspective. I think Bryce played against Matt Helmick a lot in his past, and I think he frankly knows how to beat him. And I don't know. I think Bryce and Nick take this in 2 on just a really strong serving performance, and kind of a matchup nightmare for Matt.
All right.
Do you think Will can take this back into his own hands? Do you think he can slow down Bryce and Nick, or do you think this is a pretty cut and dry case of serve Matt every ball and block angle?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think it comes down to, I'm going to take us back to a simpler time when Team 13 Feet, just kind of came out of nowhere, took the North Carolina area by storm, won or competed to win, a good number of tournaments, just kind of, that no one saw coming. Kind of coming with that dual big guy magic. And I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, can Matt recapture that big guy magic and figure out how to incorporate Will into it?
I mean, they both set really well, and Matt has a great serve, but the problem I have with it is it ends up coming down to a team with really, really good ball control and great serves, which is Bryson and Nick, versus a team that may struggle a little bit more to pass, and is possibly a little bit more physical than the other team. And I just am partial to the team with better ball control.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bryce and Nick win 9 times out of 10. But we're talking about one match. So, Will and Matt, if you're listening, big guy magic, that's how you're going to do it. But for the bracket, I'm going to put down Bryce and Nick.
I think to quote Dodgeball here, you got to get mean. You got to get angry, because that's the only way we're going to win.
Yeah, you're right there. Sorry, just updating the bracket here.
All good. Batch 3 is almost done.
How are the cookies turning out this time?
I haven't actually tasted any of them, but they're a little bit flatter than normal. To give somebody some idea, my cookies are normally quite thick, half an inch or more. They're a little bit flatter than normal, and definitely more crispy around the edges. So I'm curious what kind of reaction people are going to give me for these.
Gotcha. I mean, I'm sure they'll be tasty as ever. Despite coming out a little flat. I'm gonna
appreciate that, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip over the 6-3 matchup just briefly to talk about the 2 versus 10 matchup, which is Mark Fornicari, Nolan Albrecht against Kevin Knight and David Arnold. You just gave us a pretty in-depth analysis about how you're worried about your cookies and how they came out flat, whether they'll perform, etc. So what are you going to do to kind of mitigate that same concern from happening here so you don't come out flat?
Oh, I don't know. Dave is a special partner for me. He somehow knows how to get the best out of me, and playing with him is definitely a true joy. And so kind of all the credit to him for whenever he picked me up, I played the best volleyball that I've ever played. So my guess would be that I'm going to get a kill and he's going to hype me up and I'm going to get loud and then if I can get an ace or a block or two, I'll get even louder and then Dave will just help me snowball the energy from there and
is that something that
annoy the other team because I'm told I pretty consistently do that.
I was going to say, is that something you find yourself doing a lot? Just getting loud? I lose you?
No, I'm good.
I was going to say, so you think that's something that I think most people would agree that getting loud is something you do on a daily basis, regular basis?
I was going to say regular, maybe. Daily if I'm playing volleyball every day.
Okay. You don't just conduct a science experiment and just let out like a guttural yell in the middle of your lab?
No, I don't. I'm pretty. I do that on the internal side if I'm in the lab.
On the internal side. Okay.
Yeah. Real cerebral.
You ever thought about?
Let's hear your take. Let's hear your take on it.
On this matchup.
That or my cookies, which you can't see right now. So I'm going to go with this matchup. Okay.
Well, as far as the cookies go, as long as you stuck with the semi-sweet morsels, chocolate morsels, I think they're going to be delightful.
That's the one thing I've changed here, man. I actually went with 60% dark chocolate chunks. The polarizing move. I'm aware.
Yeah, I had penciled you and David in here, but now I'm definitely rethinking it after hearing that 60% dark chocolate chunks are in the cookies, not semi-sweet morsels. Just to kind of break this matchup down a little bit. We talked about Mark and Nolan's game already.
I was in Whole Foods feeling fancy, man. How it went.
just breaking down this matchup a little bit, we've got, we talked about Mark wanting to, kind of pokey, shoot you to death. Nolan wanting to swing a lot. Kevin, as I'm sure everybody knows, hits the ball probably 80 to 85% of the time. David just kind of does a little bit of everything. Finds really creative ways to score as well. And for me, I think the big factor in this match is actually going to be the consistent defensive, mindset / look. Like, consistently inconsistent that Kevin and David are going to provide, like, consistently changing, if that makes sense. I think Kevin's going to be a little bit more dialed in as a blocker than Mark or Nolan will be. David will be a little bit more dialed in as a defender than Mark or Nolan will be. Kevin and David both known to serve receive particularly well, which I think will do a pretty good job mitigating Mark and Nolan's serves. And I think it'll be a tight match. It might even go 3. I don't think any game will be decided by more than 3 points, 3 to 4 points. But I think I'm going to pick Kevin and David to win.
You're going to pick it to what?
Yeah, I'm going to pick you to win still, despite the dark chocolate chunks.
I appreciate the gesture.
Yeah.
I would have strongly disagreed if you'd gone the other way, but, we'll leave that for another time.
Yeah, well, I picked against you last time, and, it was like kind of the one thing that I, messed up, so figure I'm not going to repeat that mistake.
Hey, you're learning.
Yeah. So now
I'm obviously biased, though. Mark's a great player, and so is Nolan.
Yeah. At the 3-6, we've got Eddie Mukashan and Ian Bicko against Brian Dirks and Bodie Eanes. You want to start, or shall I?
So I'll start because I actually saw this team get to play at King of the Beach at the one and only Adam Roberts' house. By this team, I mean Dirks and Bodie. Despite the Myrtle Beach connection, they weren't quite as clean as you'd imagine. So I think the only way that Dirks and Bodie could pull this out is if Brian was able to make Bodie believe that he could beat this team. Because Ian and Eddie are both very, very technically strong players. Ian much more of an indoor style to him, but just very technically sound all the way around as beach guys.
Sure.
Both pass, both set, both swing well. They can mix up from the service line a number of different things. And defensively, you got a 6'8", 6'9" guy and a 5'10", 5'11" guy. Maybe Eddie's 6 feet, I don't know. So they pose a defensive challenge as well. So I think the only way I would put it at an 80-20. Ian and Eddie take it, and the 20% would be Dirks going on a giant serve run, and then also getting Bodie to play some of the best ball that he's played.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. There's kind of two kind of Dirks X factors I want to talk about. One, we've talked about big guy magic before. With regards to Matt Helmick, but Dirks definitely has it as well.
Yeah.
But how is he gonna find a way to channel that big guy magic when there is a bigger guy on the opposite side of the net?
Yeah. No, I agree.
So that's a challenge. Not only bringing out the big guy magic, but like figuring
there's an even bigger guy on the other side.
Exactly. But also, part of getting Bodie to play his best is convincing them that they've got it. I'm gonna equate Dirks' big guy magic to Michael's secret stuff from Space Jam. And what's Bodie gonna say when he's like, yeah, but there's a bigger guy on the other side of the net. And
yeah.
with that trick up his sleeve for increasing Bodie's confidence and getting Bodie to believe, that's an uphill battle. So at the end of the day, I think the key to this matchup for Dirks and Bodie is going to be the dad trash talk game that Dirks is famous for up and down the East Coast, if not nationwide.
Well, dude, I love it. We're 37 minutes in, and we've gone through, I think, 12 matches, which is great. And you've had a total of, I think, one spicy upset. So let's start to hear some more takes here. Let's start to get a little spicier.
Well, unfortunately, if the spice isn't there, the spice isn't there.
Fair enough. You are logical to a fault, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you.
So we're gonna drop Dirks and Bodie down.
Okay. Are you gonna go through every losers round, or are you just gonna give an overview of who you think's winning and losing each game?
I will speed things up a little bit. So we've got first round of losers. We've got Nick and Parker against JP and Misha, and this is another pretty straightforward matchup. JP and Misha will take this handily. Moving down to the next.
Tough draw.
Yeah. That's a pretty rough one for Nick and Parker. Welcome to Open.
I would have put that one as I would have put them as a legit 3 or 4 seed, and then unfortunately I was 7.
Yeah.
With a tough 10 seed draw.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got Mitch and Keegan against Larry and David, and I think the size of Larry experience of Larry and David is going to be too much for Mitch and Keegan.
Okay.
I don't really know who Mitch or Keegan is, but
I don't either.
But that's given how many tournaments you and I go to, that kind of is enough of a reason within itself.
You're definitely correct about that.
Yeah. So we've got Colton and G. I apologize. Against Adam Hyatt and John Lucas. And this, I'm going to give the edge to Adam Hyatt and John Lucas just from a standpoint of, Adam's a pretty experienced guy. Colton, making that double A to Open transition. And I think
what's also telling is that Adam just played so many tournaments, and he's actually been training with John Lucas. I knew that.
Oh, have they really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's enough. That's enough to get him through this round. Then we've got Josh and Spencer against Michael and Travis. I think this is a pretty rough matchup for Michael and Travis, unfortunately, and Josh and Spencer will take this in some fashion. I don't know if it'll be. If Josh plays well, it will be very convincing. If Josh kind of struggles, then I think Spencer will will them to a victory. If that makes sense.
I don't know the guy Travis is playing with, but I think you're right. It'll be a good strong confidence booster for Josh to get an Open win.
Mm-hmm. All right, so another round of losers. We have Will Rodriguez and Matt Helmick against JP and Misha.
Oh, okay. The 4 seed versus, well, in quotation marks.
Well, the 5 against the 7.
Marks 7 seed, but really they're pretty close.
Yeah, I mean realistically they're probably the 5 and the 6.
This could be a 2-4-5 matchup, or a 3-4 matchup, something like that.
Yeah, and I'm actually gonna go with JP and Misha.
Ooh, tell me more. Tell me that you're picking against Will Rodriguez in the second round of losers bracket, putting him at 1 and 2 on the tournament. I just need to know why. Why, Graham?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think I think the defensive potency of JP and Misha is a lot to deal with, particularly if something that's baked into my prediction here is that, kind of like you said, Matt Helmick has not been training. Well, we know for a fact that JP and Misha have been training, playing 2 to 3, 4 times a week pretty consistently.
Yeah, I can't go against my training buddies, but this is the only time in the whole video that I've wanted to scream the Stephen A. blasphemous. But you are picking my guys, so I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean...
But if Will's out there, I hope he uses this as motivation to prove you wrong.
No, I know. And for me, this is 100% baked into Matt Helmick not quite being in form. you know, if
Will going 1-2 to Wilmington, that'd be a rough take for him.
Yeah,
that'd be a long drive home.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I hope it doesn't happen. It's a pretty rough draw, but
it is a rough draw, but I could see it. I mean, JP and Misha are a sneaky good team to play against.
Yeah. We've got Austin and Cortland against Larry and David.
Oof.
And This is one where I really wish that I knew David.
I'm gonna go on a limb, and I'm gonna give this one to the old guys. I'm gonna say David Fisher figures out Cortland, or he figures out how to get points off of Austin, and he just milks that to the cows come home.
So
I hate that I'm picking against my former training partner Austin, because we've had a lot of good times, but this is like a true like coach's mind figures out young player and then just exploits the hell out of it.
See, so for me, this all comes down to, in my mind, this comes down to kind of Austin's mental side of the game.
Okay.
Because in my mind, Cortland is bordering on, if not already, kind of considered, a high open level player. He does every skill very well. He's well sized, decently athletic.
In the second match of the day, we're not worried about cramping.
Right, and for me, it's kind of like, if Austin kind of plays selfishly, I'm gonna call it. Anticipate that Austin's getting something. I like to think about is like, if I'm the one getting served, I shouldn't be taking opportunities away from my partner to score. If that makes sense, like if the other team is trying to make.
I wonder if Austin will play left on purpose so he can jump set.
God, yeah.
I heard your eyes roll. I heard it over the phone.
yeah. There was a big eye roll there.
All right, make your pick. It's still the losers' games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna show faith in Austin and Cortland here. I picked against Cortland in Richmond, and Cortland balled the fuck out. And like also having played with Cortland a good bit in the Virginia Beach area, he does a lot of things well. And I feel like the only way that they lose this match is if Austin doesn't allow Cortland to have an influence on the match.
Okay.
We've got Mark and Nolan against Adam and John, and that feels pretty straightforward, as long as it's not.
Yeah, I think this is where Adam runs out of steam.
Yeah.
Or John, either one.
Yeah. And then we have Dirks and Bodie against Josh and Spencer.
Oh, Dirks and Bodie all day long.
Yeah.
Because Dirks and Bodie are just going to bring the pain from the service line, and that's going to be too much to handle ball control wise, especially if there's any wind and the hands go away and the bump sets come out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Spencer's hands will stay out, but I agree with you 100%. We've got
high spinning windy balls off platforms are not easy to handset, and Josh has made a ton of progress, but this one I would not give them. In this case, I think that's the end of the road for them.
I agree. Jumping back to the winners, we've got Angel and Caleb against Bryce and Nick in the round of 4.
Ooh. What do you think happens in this one?
So kind of my general take on Angel and Caleb as the number 1 overall seed. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if Caleb has played a tournament with a partner of the caliber of Angel, let alone caliber of someone that people would consider as a legitimate threat to win larger tournaments.
He did, and he played a tournament. I don't know if anyone's heard about it in the volleyball community, but it's a small tournament in Wisconsin called Wapaka, and they actually ended up upsetting some pretty good teams there.
Who did he play with?
Oh, the one and only Angel Dace.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So that changes your opinion on things.
It does, yeah. It definitely.
You got a first time tournament out of Bryce and Nick.
You do.
Then you also have the paradigm of 2 hand setters versus 1.5 thumb setters.
I think Bryson Nick's not only ball control precision, but particularly setting precision proves to be too much. Particularly when you combine that with Nick's jump serve from the line. I think Bryson Nick will take it in 3.
I think Angel hypes up the kid, and I think they go to 3. And I think, it's tough because I played with all of them. I haven't played with Caleb in a tournament, but I can't. I struggle to pick against Angel and Wilmington, but I also would struggle to take anyone beating Bryce and Nick. If it were my bracket, this would be an upset only because Angel. Not an upset. This would be the one beating the 4 only because Angel and Caleb have played a tournament and Nick and Bryce haven't and probably still have stuff to figure out. But it's your bracket, so take Bryce and Nick because it is a spicy take.
I also think
just know that you're probably going to piss off Angel.
Probably.
Really, but
I also think Will Rodriguez and Matt Helmick provide a pretty good opportunity for Bryce and Nick to figure out whatever it is that they need to figure out.
We'll see.
In the previous round. So then we
that
have...
one I will be filming, even though it's not technically a semifinal game.
Yes. So then we have... Moving on down to the other round of 4, winners round of 4 match, we've got Eddie Mukashan, Ian Bicko against Kevin and David.
I'm not going to comment.
You're not going to comment.
There's half of the players that are going to be on that court. 2 of whom are on opposing teams. They're standing next to each other in the same room. Not next to each other, but he's in the same room because I live in a 1-room apartment. So therefore, I might mute myself and mute you for the next 4 minutes and just be surprised by whatever comes out on the video. I'm going to start your timer in 5, 4,
picking Kevin and David.
3, 2, 1, muting both.
Picking Kevin and David here. Kevin, are you muted? Can you hear us? Just because they're both over there, I think kind of the only way that Ian and Eddie stand a chance is if they serve Kevin. Frankly, watching Eddie play at TVA Indoor Sand, definitely a little bit more of a, very, very technically sound, but definitely a little bit more, struck me as more of a grass and indoor player. Was struggling to, kind of run down shots in the sand. That being said, made the finals, but, that was kind of the trouble that, Eddie had in the sand. So if they serve David, David's just going to shoot him to death. But, kind of conversely, they serve Kevin, who wants to hit the ball, 80-85% of the time. Then you've got a 6'8", 6'9" blocker and an indoor defender who wants to dig in and dug hard-driven balls. That might be a recipe for success for Eddie and Ian. But I think as much as, kind of their defensive success hinges on that, I think David Arnold is capable of digging either one of them enough to bring out a win. They actually played each other, Kevin and David against Ian Bicko and...
All right, homie. It hasn't been 4 minutes, but I'm going to break back in because I'm getting out my last batch of cookies. They look glorious. I'm really excited about them. And really excited to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes because it's been about 50.
Okay. Kevin and David... You interrupted me in a really good...
There?
You interrupt... Oh, you're still muted. You interrupted me in a really good thought.
What did it?
I'm just, fuck it. Kevin and David played Ian and a different partner at Manhattan Beach Open qualifier last year and came out with a victory. So I'm going with Kevin and David again.
All right. What's next?
I gotta drop. Give me 1 second.
I really hope I can find it in myself to save you one of these cookies. I definitely will, because they're wonderful looking. one of the more exciting batches of the last 10, although I've been pretty experimental in my last 10 batches.
Okay. We have JP and Misha against Austin and Cortland. For me, I think this is the end of the line for Austin. You have two people on the other side of the court who, know his game, in and out, know exactly what it is that he's capable of, and on top of that are very capable players themselves, and I feel like that's kind of the end of the line.
Yeah, I mean, even though Austin knows that Misha's going to go high line, Misha could potentially go high line over both the blocker and defender in this case, so I think that's a good choice.
Mark and Nolan against Dirks and Bodie.
Mark has sliced and diced Bodie into oblivion at Adam's place. I was privy to that.
I think
that's just an experience versus inexperienced match.
I think barring 98-degree heat and some heat exhaustion, I'm going to take Mark and Nolan as well.
I like that reference. All right. What do we got left?
We got Ian and Eddie against JP and Misha.
Ooh, that's tough. This is hard for me because I'm biased.
I know you are. And I am actually going to take JP and Misha.
What?
Yes.
Shots fired. Hey, I don't know. I mean, JP and Misha are a good team. But, you think Misha's going to get served every ball all day and have to side out all day and still get past my boy here, Ian?
I mean, who said Misha's getting every ball all day? Also, kind of on top of that, I think, and something I did talk about in your matchup, Eddie definitely, I feel like Eddie struggles to cover ground in the back, and JP and Misha are both two shoddy players. So I think it's a little bit of a matchup that kind of favors JP and Misha.
But Ian's going to force the high line to go even higher line. I'm fucking with you.
Yeah.
It's your bracket.
Yeah.
I like that you're being spicy.
I'm picking JP and Misha.
I respectfully disagree on this point only because I think that Misha's going to get a lot of balls and has been lagging a little bit later in tournaments because, frankly, it's just hard to block and get every ball. But, if you don't think that's the case, that's your prerogative. You can deal from the blowback from JP and Misha. They're both extremely competitive and oftentimes mean-spirited, but I won't get into that.
I mean, hell, I'm gonna have to deal with the blowback from Ian when he comes and stays at my house Saturday night.
I'm messing with you.
Yeah.
They're both great individuals who I'm sure won't take this great, but
all right,
and we'll feel betrayed because you've trained with them, but
So I've got Angel and Caleb against Mark and Nolan.
Okay. All right. That would be a really fun match to watch. I hope that actually does get to happen, but not in the finals.
I'm going to go ahead and
That's a lot of jump serving. That's all I'm going to say about that. Whole lot of jump serving.
Yeah, a lot of jump serving. Frankly, I don't think I can pick against Angel and Caleb twice before the,
I think Mark would heavily disagree with you there.
Yeah, that's fine, but he's on match number 5 now at this point and low rest. I'm gonna go ahead and take Angel and Caleb.
A lot of energy drinks.
Yeah. I think the jump serving of Angel ends up being a little bit too much. So semifinal number 1, we've got Bryce and Nick against JP and Misha, and just to put it politely, Misha's gonna crash pretty hard.
That's the match you think he crashes?
That is the match, yeah.
I think he's 1-4 in semifinals. 1-4 or 1-5 in semifinal matches at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an understatement to call Bryce probably the smartest blocker at the tournament, I would say.
All right.
If one of the smartest, if not the smartest.
Okay.
Combine that, with a pretty quick defender behind him, a tired Misha. I think it's just going to be a lot too much.
Okay. I mean, Bryce will appreciate that take, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to hear about it. So we've got the other semifinal. We've got Kevin and David against Angel and Caleb. And I think this is the portion of the video where you wished I had picked Angel and Caleb to win, right?
No comment.
I think
there's a lot riding on this next decision, Graham.
I know.
A lot riding on it. You've chosen wrong once before at another tournament that I won't mention.
I know, and like there's probably a cookie on the line too, which is the problem.
I mean, at least if you know that there's a cookie on the line, because there is, Angel would understand, because Angel does love these cookies.
I'm gonna pick Angel and Caleb. As much as I want the cookie, as much as I want the cookie, I've gotta, I've gotta stay true to myself. I've gotta trust the intent.
How do you pick against Dave Arnold? Like, take me out of the equation. Because I'll be setting Dave's butter if he gets served, and he'll be putting up juice for me, and hyping me up. How do you pick against my boy Dave Arnold? Oh, don't bring that up. Did you just refer to Graham as Skip Bayless? He's gonna murder you.
I can't. Ian, you might need to find a new place to stay.
He said you might need to find a different place to stay. He said you might need to make a different pick then.
Hey, Ian, does Jesus still love me?
Yeah, so Jesus still loves him. He loves Graham, but not Skip.
All right, so in the I
no longer care about who you pick for the finals, so I'm just gonna sit here and listen for a while.
Yeah, I mean I'm gonna pick Angel and Caleb to beat Bryce and Nick here.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Even though this would be like Caleb's 19th match of the day, and he is definitely getting all the balls. You're picking Angel and Caleb?
Yes, I am. It's
Bryce is gonna hate you now.
Yeah, cry me a river. I think second matchup of the day. It's tough to beat a team twice in a single day. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to.
It comes down to what every tournament comes down to, Graham.
Can Angel set? Is that what it comes
Bingo.
down to? Yeah, I mean, he's got a partner with an 8-8 standing reach. It's a pretty big window to hit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I'm going to pick Angel and Caleb here. So.
In 3? Does it go 3?
Who knows? I'm going to say yes.
You do. You've clearly been spot on so far. Cough, cough.
I'm gonna say it goes 3. I mean, Nick's gonna find some points from the service line in one of the games, for sure.
Do one or both of them get injured?
That is kind of the other thing, right? Is who knows if both Bryce and Nick are at 100%.
I don't know. They're both pretty healthy guys. I would give them the benefit of the doubt, but clearly you won't. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say Bryce's blood sugar starts running a little low. The tuna pack doesn't quite, fix the problem. And
dude, I love it. I love the take, man.
and Angel
and I appreciate you doing this video, and I think so will a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's been an hour and 1 minute.
Yeah,
and I think you can wind it down here, and make sure to post this to the tens and tens of adoring fans that we have.
Yes, tens and tens. All right. Thanks for chiming in, Kevin. Quick recap. Angel and Caleb beat Bryce in the finals. Third place teams are Kevin and David and JP and Misha. Fifth place, we've got Mark and Nolan and Ian and Eddie. Seventh place, Austin and Cortland, Dirks and Bodie. I'm not going to go further back than that. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This is East Coast AVP. Look for the look for the recorded matches from the tournament as well as our wrap-up video where, if I was wrong about any number of these picks, which frankly, given the quality of this tournament, there's a decent chance I will be. I will absolutely, take my lumps, come back on, and, absolutely hold myself accountable for these picks. Unlike Skip Bayless, thank you very much, Ian. And we'll talk about it then. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. Maybe Ian will join us.
Peace.
Peace. Maybe Ian joins us for the video. We'll see.
Maybe.